This is probably one of the favorite half nodules that I purchased. This one's pretty funky. It's got some like green plumey stuff on the outside. Here are the couple of the Royal Aztec purple agates. For this video, I'm going to go through some agate material that I recently purchased from a rock shop in Alberta, actually, of all places. Well, it's not surprising that there's a rock shop in Alberta, but it was Cold Lake Alberta, which is not a place I was expecting to see a rock shop. This rock shop, I'll put the information below. It's called Livingstone Art and Gem, and the material I picked up from this rock shop from this rock shop owner, Al, is some very cool material, and he also gave very fair prices in my opinion. So I thought I'd show you just a kind of a spread of the different types of agates I managed to get. And some of this material is harder to get material just because either you can't collect it anymore or it's quite expensive on the market there. So being able to get my hands on some of this stuff when I really love these types of agates, I'm a big fan of agate, I'm quite happy to have been able to purchase these for what I believe is a very fair price. So the agates I collected include Coyamito agates. All these nodules here and then this slab here are Coyamitos. There was a plume agate jasper material from Idaho. Coyamito is a famous type of Mexican agate, but this stuff here is a plume agate from Idaho called Linda Marie plume agate. I'll get to the nitty-gritty and show you guys this stuff wetted down later. I'm just going to go through everything that I got, and this isn't everything that I got. This is just some of my favorites that I decided to show you guys. I got some Parcelas agates. These are from Chihuahua, Mexico, I believe. I think Coyamito is also Chihuahua, or northern Mexico for sure. Close, actually, pretty, I would say similar to Coyamito material is the Laguna agates. I got some Laguna agates. Got some more rare Mexican stuff. I got Luna agate, and then I also got Royal Aztec purple agate. Then continuing on with the Mexican stuff, I got Moctezuma agate, which I believe is also an occurrence close to the Lagunas and the Coyamitos. I think they all kind of come from the same area, if I remember correctly. And then I also have some Oregon agate. I've got Holley blue agate. But let's wet down some of these agates and just take a closer look. We'll start with the Coyamitos. Just a quick break. If you like rock hounding related videos, please do subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, and you'll be more easily notified when I have new videos out. I do a whole bunch of different rock hounding related videos, mostly mineral collecting trips. Sometimes I do these mineral store hauls or mineral show hauls. Now let's get back to looking at these wonderful agates. This is probably one of the favorite half nodules that I purchased. It's got a range of colors. It's got purples, kind of pinky oranges, and then yellows, plus some whites and grays with a kind of like that quartzy milky center. But these Coyamito agates have some really tightly packed banding, which I find quite stunning. Another Coyamito. This one's kind of cool. It's kind of got a dark green black agate center, and it's surrounded by a yellow orangish banding, and then some white on the outside. Some pretty stuff. This stuff here is just the stickers, the price stickers that were on there. I took those off. With all of these, they're just cut, so that's why I'm wetting them down. They're not polished, so these will be some good wintertime projects for me. Most of the nodules, half nodules, there was only one half of them, but this one actually had both halves, which is cool. You can just see the variety of coloration and just how tightly packed the banding is. These Coyamitos are quite wonderful agates. Another one of my favorites. This just has a nice variety of colors. It's got reds and oranges, it's got pinks, it's got purples, some grays and whites, and then that quartz center with a little bit of white opal in the middle. Just such a fascinating little heavily feature-packed agate. This one has just tons of bands and characters, not too much color. It's all kind of gray, bluey grays and whites, but it's got an interesting little quartz pocket here, and I think I'm actually going to dip it in iron out to kind of get rid of some of that iron staining. And this one I'm sure will polish up very nicely. Another purplish and red combination. This one actually has two kind of eye-ish like formations. What they are is actually a cross section of a botryoidal formation. You can see in this pocket here, there's some botryoidal like features, and these, just the way this agate nodule had been cut, these were cut across, so you get this kind of eye-like feature in the middle. You could almost say there's a face, like there are the eyes, and then there's like the mouth. This one's pretty funky. It's got some like green plumey stuff on the outside mixed with this yellow kind of mustard yellow. It's an interesting combination, and then you get this really tightly banded red orange kind of center with a quartz pocket in the middle kind of to fill it out. Lots of crazy little details to look at and just admire. This is a Coyamito slab, just a thin slab. It's a good low price, so I picked it up because, like, just look at those bands and the features and everything. It's just so wonderful. Yeah, it's got a little bit of this kind of air bubble in the middle, but even that has some very interesting like little fortifications around it. So I would say this is a quite detail packed agate. And that's kind of the theme with these agates from Mexico. These agates all kind of, or the Coyamito, the Laguna, and the Moctezuma, they all kind of come from what I understand, a similar area in Chihuahua, and they have some very interesting features. These are all Lagunas, I believe. Some you can see are very similar to, or have very similar features to the Coyamitos, and then some are a little different but still quite cool. This one's kind of like a carnelian-esque, and then these have some very lovely deep reds kind of mixed in with blacks. You can see the fortifications, and then there's some creamy kind of calcity in the mix. All very lovely agates. Moving on to the Moctezuma agates, which also come from Chihuahua, from a similar close by location to the Lagunas and the Coyamitos. I find the Moctezumas tend to have these more like pastel colors. They're like these creamy pastel tones or colors. This one's quite lovely. All those fortification bands, plus like the different creamy yellows, and then the whites mixed in, and the gray greens, and then the center is almost a bit like kind of tingy purplish pink. At least in person it feels like it is. A couple more Moctezumas. This one's got a nice kind of opaly center with just this lightest frosting over kind of the botryoidal formations, and it's got some very faint bands, and some of the bands are almost broken up into like these dots. You can kind of see them. They're most of these very faint little dots, but they follow the fortification bands kind of, which is interesting. And this one kind of has like a clearer banded fortified calciny on the outside, and then the center is this nice mix of kind of pastel yellows and kind of mustard colors. These Parcelas agates are also from Chihuahua. I don't know if the camera picks them up, but I think the Parcelas are kind of known, like the good ones are known for having like the purple colors. And I'm seeing some I picked these ones out because they have some faint purples mixed in with the kind of the grays and the whites. I don't know if the camera picks this up, but at least in person, this area to me is all kind of this light lavender purple, with then the center being just like a nice gray white center. But then this one also had some very interesting kind of red plumy features on the sides, which was the reason I was drawn to them. And then this one just has a nice purpley center. I think the camera's picking up just in this area. It's all nice light purples, and then it's surrounded by the more contrasting dark gray whites. But then it has some of this red plumy stuff from the other one that I pointed out. But the fortification bands on these are very tightly packed, as you can see. Moving on to more purple agates. This one is a Luna agate. I still got the sticker on the back actually. I just wetted it, so that sticker is probably going to fall off. But the Luna agates are called the Luna agates because if you look, there's all these little circles on them. And they're bigger versions. I just like this one. It has all the nice little eyes, basically. And those eyes make it look, what people say, like a lunar landscape, hence the name Luna. But there's these lovely purple kind of eyes they tend to have these white centers. And I just like this one because it has this kind of darker purple feature on the side with some really nice tight fortification bands kind of in the mix. But then it also has the more classic kind of like lunarscape kind of eyes as well. And you can see why it happens because there's all these botryoidal formations, I guess, and then they fill in with more agate. The agate fills it in, and so when you take a cross section of all these little kind of botryoidal agate formations, think maybe like an Indonesian grape agate that's just been filled in, you get these really interesting kind of lunar landscape-esque patterns. Here are the couple of the Royal Aztec purple agates that I purchased. These were just some of my favorites with the crazy bands in them. These are like a seam of an agate, or maybe like a thinner agate. I don't know if these agates kind of formed in a seam or if they were more like a agate that formed in basalt, in like air pockets in basalt. I'll have to do some research on that. But I just love these. They have like a really lovely purple color to them, and they've got some crazy fortification bands. And then this one is just, I like the contrast of the purple and the white in the middle. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up. The purple tones seem to be a lot more muted on my camera, which I hope is not the case when I put it out into production. I know my my recordings actually look a little different from what I see in the camera just because of some settings I have on my phone, but it always worries me when I have this lovely colorful specimen in front of me, and then when I look through the camera the colors seem so muted and kind of drab. But hopefully the lovely purple colors actually go through, like are given justice in the camera. This was a larger chunk of Royal Aztec that I got, and I got this one because it has some really lovely kind of like fortification pockets and some other interesting kind of plumy features in the agate. Just lots of interesting features, and the colors are just, hopefully the camera picks it up well. The purples are just so vibrant and purpley. I don't know how else to explain it. Continuing on with the theme of purple agates, we're moving to some Oregon agate. In this case, some Holley blue agate. He had a decent amount of Holley blue agate. This one I got because it has, on the back you can see where it popped off of some other formation, either agate or some type of other mineral. And then on the top, I think this is some type of agate pseudomorph after like maybe a calcite or a barite, because you get these weird hollow agate formations in these vaguely crystalline shapes. So I think that's some type of pseudomorph, and I thought it would just be very interesting to cut in the middle and see what it looks like on the inside and what the features look like. And then I got a couple other pieces. This one I think I'm going to just polish all the way around, kind of work away some of the fractures that seem to be on just the outside part. And then this one I think I'm going to cut right through the middle, though it looks like it might actually have some fractures, so I might just try and polish some of these outer fractures away and see if that works. But the purples on these, especially this piece, are super vibrant. Even though this agate's called Holley blue, it's actually more of a purple agate. So I think there are kind of some like purple blue tones. Hopefully, again, the camera picks up those purple colors that I'm talking about, because this purple is just so vibrant in person. It's insane. Last but definitely not least, we have this Linda Marie material. You can see some of it's got some very clear chalcedony, and then it's just got some very faint white plumes on like the outside with a mix of green and yellows in there. And then you get some other plumes and fortification bands in the mix. And then some are basically just all plumes with just the faintest hint of chalcedony in the middle. But you get these white plumes with these greens and yellows, and then the chalcedony in the middle. It's a really lovely combination. You get these really interesting kind of landscape-like features. And besides slabs, I also picked up a couple larger seam chunks of this material because I just like it. So I wanted some stuff to either cut up myself or just have some larger polished pieces. Some of the stuff I kind of bought because like the prices were fair and I could just hold on to them in the future, and then maybe in the future I can trade them off or sell them and actually get a fair, decent amount of money. Think of them kind of as investment pieces, but for now my plans are to keep all the specimens I bought in my collection. And it's just one of those things where, you know, as a collector, you usually, I'm getting to the point where I do cycle through some stuff in my collection. There are pieces that stay forever, but then there are pieces that I'm willing to let go, and then either those end up in trades, or if I need a little bit of cash to fund my hobby, then, you know, I can sell them. Here are a couple more of those Linda Marie seam chunks. Just lovely features and mix of colors. Makes for a very interesting seam agate. Hopefully, I plan to be actually going back to Alberta for work again. I was there on a work trip. That's how I came across this shop. We had a little bit of off time before we had to leave, so we quickly stopped by and checked it out. Well, we checked it out twice. Back at one in our way to town when we had some time, and out of our way of town when we had some time. And it was an awesome experience. Al is a lovely guy. He was super, he had so much information. It was great talking with him. And he just had so much information about like lapidary material, especially like some of the older, more uncommon stuff that's harder to find on the market nowadays. So it was a great experience meeting him and talking to him. And I hope to go back there actually. I want to see if he maybe has some whole nodules that I could buy off of him. That would be cool. But I will, like I said before earlier in the video, I have the links to his website, and I think he has a Facebook page as well. I'll put those links below for those folks who might be interested in seeing what he might have, because I definitely say it's worth checking him out in person. I think he does have a bit of an online store. It's not as vast as his in-person store, of course, but I think it's still worth a check out, especially if you're into agates, because he has such awesome material, and for what I believe is a pretty fair price, especially in Canada. It's kind of hard to get your hands on some of the Mexican agates without paying an arm and a leg. This brings us to the end of the video. Please, folks, let me, in the comments below, let me know which of these agates, which agate type, or specific agate piece you found the most interesting or you like the most. I always like to see what people enjoy, and I love having feedback on my videos. And please, folks, just have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.